The mahogany conference table reflected my brother's rage-twisted face as he stood at the head of the boardroom, pointing at the door like a tyrant dismissing a peasant. "Get your things and get out, Amelia." Nathan's voice bounced off the glass walls. "I've carried you long enough." I sat frozen in my usual seat, the one by the door, where the secretary traditionally sits to take notes. Where I'd sat for 7 years, quietly documenting every meeting, every decision, every moment that led to this. "Nathan," I said calmly, though my hands trembled under the table. "Let's discuss this privately." "There's nothing to discuss." He slammed his palms on the table. "Sales are down 8%. We lost the Morrison account. Someone has to be held accountable. The Morrison account that you insisted we could handle despite my recommendation to." "Your recommendation?" He laughed, the sound sharp as breaking glass. "You're a secretary, Amelia. You take notes. You fetch coffee. You don't make recommendations." Around the table, the board members shifted uncomfortably. Mr. Whitman cleared his throat. Mrs. Chun studied her portfolio. Dr. Kumar adjusted his glasses. They'd seen Nathan's tantrums before, but never directed at family. "I'm the VP of Operations," I reminded him quietly. "A vanity title Dad gave you out of pity." Nathan circled the table like a shark. "You think I don't know what everyone says? That I keep my little sister around because I have to? That you're dead weight?" "Nathan," Mr. Whitman tried to interject. "No." Nathan whirled on him. "I'm CEO. I decide who stays and who goes. And I'm done pretending she contributes anything to this company." I looked at the faces around the table, people I'd worked with for years, who'd seen me arrive first and leave last, who'd implemented strategies I'd quietly suggested through Nathan, letting him take credit to keep the peace. Not one met my eyes. "You're fired. Get out of my company." Brother screamed in the boardroom. "This is my legacy, my business, my decision." "Actually," I said softly, "it's not. Daddy's little secretary is done." He was practically frothing now. "Security is already waiting. I want you out in 10 minutes. And don't think about taking anything. I'll have legal go through everything to make sure you don't steal company property." "Nathan," Mr. Whitman's voice was strained. "Perhaps we should." "What?" Nathan spun on him. "You want to defend her? The girl who couldn't even finish her MBA. "I have 2 MBAs, I said. And a PhD in business analytics. I finished them at night while working here. Online degrees don't count," he sneered. "Just like your little opinions don't count. You know what you are? A nepotism hire who's outlived her usefulness." The board member coughed. "Actually, per the shares she inherited from Grandma." Mr. Whitman had finally found his spine. He pulled out a thick folder. One I recognized because I'd prepared it myself 3 months ago, waiting for this moment. Nathan froze. "What shares?" "Your grandmother's shares," Mr. Whitman continued, his voice gaining strength. "She left them to Amelia. We've been trying to discuss this at board meetings, but you always table it. Grandma left the company to Dad. Dad left it to me. I own 60%. "No," I interrupted, standing slowly. "Dad left you 49%. He left me 10%. And Grandma's shares were separate. They were hers from when she helped Grandpa found the company." He paused. "She owns 51%. The color drained from Nathan's face, so fast I thought he might faint. "That's impossible. Here's the documentation." Mr. Whitman spread the papers across the table. "We verified it with legal 3 months ago when Amelia brought it to our attention. She wanted to handle the transition quietly, without disrupting operations." "You knew?" Nathan's voice cracked. "We all knew," Mrs. Chun finally spoke up. "Amelia asked us to keep it confidential until after the Japanese merger was complete. She didn't want to destabilize the negotiations." "The merger I negotiated." "The merger Amelia structured," Dr. Kumar corrected. "She sent us the real documentation, Nathan. Every successful deal for the past 5 years has her fingerprints all over it. You just presented her work." I watched my brother's world crumble in real time. His mouth opened and closed, no sound emerging. "I believe," I said quietly, "the first order of business is to vote on the current CEO's position." "You can't," Nathan started. "All in favor of removing Nathan Wells as CEO?" I raised my hand. 5 other hands rose immediately. "Motion carried," Mr. Whitman said. "Amelia, as majority shareholder, you have the right to nominate the next CEO." "I nominate myself," I said. "All in favor?" 6 hands, including mine. Security escorted my brother out. He was crying, not the dignified tears of a defeated leader. The broken sobs of a man who'd built his entire identity on a throne he'd never actually owned. 2 security guards, the same ones he'd called to remove me, stood awkwardly by his shoulders as he collapsed into his chair. "Amelia, please," he choked out. "I'm your brother." "Yes," I agreed. "You're my brother. Which is why I'm not going to do what you tried to do to me." "You're not fired, Nathan. You're being reassigned." "Reassigned?" Hope flickered in his eyes. "Regional sales manager for the Midwest division. It's a good position. You'll learn the business from the ground up, the way I did. The way you never had to because Dad handed you the executive suite. That's entry level." "It's middle management," I corrected. "More than you offered me. And Nathan, if you work hard, prove yourself, there's room for advancement. Merit-based advancement. You planned this." His voice was hollow. "You've been planning this." "For 3 years," I admitted. "Since the day you took credit for the Henderson deal and told the board I was just surprisingly useful for a secretary. I realized then you'd never see me as anything more than Dad's charity case. I gave you a job. Dad gave me a job. You gave me contempt wrapped in condescension." I nodded to security. "Mr. Wells needs to collect his personal items. Please ensure he doesn't take any company property." As they helped him stand, he turned back one more time. "How could you do this to me?" "I didn't do anything to you, Nathan. I just stopped letting you do it to me." After he left, the boardroom sat in silence. Then Mrs. Chen cleared her throat. "I believe we need to discuss the transition plan. Amelia, what are your immediate priorities as CEO?" I pulled out my laptop, the one Nathan always mocked as too many spreadsheets, not enough vision, and connected it to the presentation screen. "First, we're restructuring the Morrison account approach. I've been in unofficial contact with them. They're willing to reconsider if we present a new strategy. Second, I want to implement the efficiency program I've been developing. Conservative estimate shows a 15% increase in productivity within 6 months." "The program Nathan rejected last year?" Dr. Kumar asked. "The same. He rejected it because I proposed it." I clicked through slides showing projections, models, implementation strategies. "Third, we're promoting from within. There are incredibly talented people in this company who've been overlooked because they didn't golf with Nathan on weekends." "This is..." Mr. Whitman shook his head. "Amelia, why didn't you tell us sooner? Why let him treat you that way?" "Because I needed to be sure," I said. "Sure that when I made this move, I had everything in place. Sure that the company would survive the transition. Sure that you'd support me based on merit, not just shares." "And if we hadn't?" Mrs. Chen asked. "Then I would have sold my shares to Berkshire Industries and walked away." I smiled at their shocked faces. "They've been making offers for 2 years. But this is my family's company. I wanted to save it, not sell it." Nathan never mentioned any offers. Nathan never knew. They came directly to me, recognizing who was really running things. I closed the laptop. "But that's the past. Let's talk about the future." We worked until midnight, planning the transition. By the time I finally left the office, the security guards were changing shifts. "Ms. Wells." The night guard stopped me. "I just wanted to say, we all knew. Everyone who works here knew you were the real boss. Nathan might have had the title, but you had the respect." "Thank you, Marcus. Your brother left about an hour ago," he added quietly. "He was upset." I imagine Nathan was more than upset. He'd spent 35 years believing his own myth, the golden son, the natural leader, the rightful heir. In one afternoon, that narrative had crumbled. My phone buzzed. A text from my mother. "Nathan came home crying. Says you stole the company. What happened?" I typed back. "I didn't steal anything. I just stopped pretending it was his." Another buzz. This time from Nathan. "You destroyed me." I stared at the message for a long moment before responding. "No. You destroyed yourself the day you decided being born first meant you deserved everything." I just held up a mirror. I blocked his number and drove home to my small apartment, the one Nathan always mocked as beneath a Wells. Tomorrow, I'd start the real work of rebuilding the company. Tonight, I'd celebrate the end of 7 years of swallowing my pride, biting my tongue, and playing small to protect a brother who saw me as nothing. The next morning, I arrived to find flowers on my desk. The card read, "From the entire accounting department. Thank you for finally being visible." By noon, 3 major clients Nathan had lost had called to congratulate me and discuss renewing contracts. By end of day, the Morrison account had agreed to a meeting. A week later, the local business journal ran a feature. The The secretary who saved Wells Industries. How Amelia Wells engineered the quietest coup in corporate history. Nathan never returned to the company. Last I heard, he'd moved to Florida, telling people he'd retired early after successfully mentoring his sister. Even in defeat, he couldn't admit the truth. But I had the company. I had the respect. And most importantly, I had the satisfaction of knowing that every success from now on would have my name on it. Not bad for Daddy's little secretary.